Poor homeless girl warns millionaire about his wife. The next day, something unexpected happened. The grand estate of the Wexford family stood like a palace on the hill. Marble pillars, glass chandeliers, and gold-accented halls that echoed wealth in every direction. Inside, Jonathan Wexford, a 42-year-old self-made millionaire, straightened his navy tie in the hallway mirror. Every inch of him was perfectly pressed, polished, composed. His wife, Isabel, strolled past behind him in a silky cream dress, sipping orange juice from a crystal flute. "Don't be late for the board meeting," she said with a teasing smile. "You know they panic without you." Jonathan chuckled lightly, but his eyes lingered on her a little too long. Something in her tone had been distant lately. Something about the way she turned her head when she answered her phone. Something off. Still, he brushed it aside, grabbed his briefcase, and moved toward the side door, the one his chauffeur pulled up to every morning. But as he stepped through the archway, he froze. A small figure stood just outside the servant entrance, in the shadow of the columns. She was no more than 6 years old, a little black girl in a faded gray dress and a tattered white apron, a cloth wrapped around her braided hair, dusty bare feet pressed into the stone step. In her hands she held a dented metal bucket, not for begging, not for stealing, just holding it, like it gave her purpose. The housekeeper opened the door before Jonathan could speak. "She shows up now and then," the woman whispered. "Won't cause trouble, likely hungry." But the girl wasn't looking at the housekeeper. She was staring directly at Jonathan. He stepped outside, crouching down to her level. "What's your name?" She looked away briefly, then back at him. "Mira. Do you need food?" She shook her head, then took a breath. "I came to tell you something." Jonathan tilted his head, amused, curious, a little uneasy. "What's that?" Mira glanced behind her, then leaned in slightly, voice barely above a whisper. "Your wife, she's lying to you." Jonathan blinked. He wasn't sure he heard her right. "Excuse me?" Mira's hands tightened around the bucket. "Last night, I slept behind the garden wall. I saw her through the window. She was with a man, not you." Jonathan straightened slowly. "What do you mean?" "They were laughing, whispering. She said something about you being gone soon. She said she was almost free." Silence stretched between them. The sun was warm, but Jonathan suddenly felt cold. He searched the girl's eyes for a sign of mischief, a game, a lie, but there was only sincerity, and a deep, haunted sadness, far beyond her years. Inside, Isabel's laughter rang down the hall as she spoke to someone on the phone. She passed by the butler with her usual charm and grace. Jonathan didn't move. The words, "She said she was almost free," ran over and over in his head like a broken record. He turned back to Mira. "Why are you telling me this?" Her answer was quiet. "Because no one believes girls like me, but I see everything." Then she gave a tiny nod, turned, and walked barefoot down the stone path, her metal bucket clinking softly at her side. Jonathan stood motionless for a long time. He had no reason to believe her, no evidence, no motive. Just a little girl in rags, holding a secret like it weighed more than her entire body. And yet, he believed her. That night, he couldn't sleep. He watched Isabel brush her hair at the vanity, her reflection glowing under soft light. She looked perfect. Her smile, her elegance, her presence. But now, all he could see was the possibility of betrayal. All he could hear was Mira's voice. She said she was almost free. The next morning, Jonathan didn't go to the boardroom. He didn't get into the car. Instead, he went to his study, logged into his private surveillance backup server, and began pulling security footage from the past few days. He had never watched the garden wing cams before, but now he was about to. Jonathan sat at his desk in the study, the morning sun casting golden light through the tall windows. But there was no warmth in him. His hand hovered over the mouse as he opened the encrypted server. He had never once reviewed the estate's internal camera footage, not in years. Why would he? He trusted his staff. He trusted his home. He trusted Isabel. Until now. He rewound the footage, late hours, garden wing, the northeast corridor, the one Mira had mentioned. His breath caught in his throat. There she was, Isabel, slipping through the hallway in a silk robe, hair pinned up, glancing behind her. At 1:47 a.m., a man followed. Jonathan leaned in, not a stranger, his business partner, Edward Crane. Jonathan's stomach twisted. The two moved quietly into the solarium. No staff, no lights, no words, just body language, subtle touches, soft laughter. Then Isabel said it, caught clearly on the audio logs. "He's almost done. He's been moving funds into the Zurich account. Soon we won't need him at all." Jonathan's hands went numb. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to drain his wealth. The next hours were a blur. Jonathan canceled all his appointments. He called his attorney, froze his accounts, had his IT team trace Isabel's digital trails, gather contracts, and back up every call. By evening, the evidence was undeniable. She'd forged documents, signed his name, started the process of transferring control of the foundation, and it would have worked if not for the little girl with the bucket. That night, Isabel returned home from a lunch meeting to find Jonathan standing at the door, his face unreadable. In his hand, a folder. He didn't yell. He didn't ask questions. He simply handed her the papers. "We're done. The bank accounts are locked. The board has been notified. The prenup will be honored." She froze. For the first time in their marriage, she was the one speechless. "I don't understand." "You lied to me," he said, voice low. "And a little girl with nothing saw what I refused to." By the next morning, Isabel was gone. Her things removed. Her name struck from every financial tie. But Jonathan's heart wasn't on his fortune. It was on Mira, the child who came to him not for money, not for food, but for truth. He called the local shelter, asked around town, had his staff search the markets, alleys, even the old train lot. Finally, they found her behind the bakery, curled up in a cardboard nook, still holding that metal bucket. She looked up, confused, when the black car stopped in front of her. The door opened. Jonathan stepped out. He didn't wear a suit. He knelt beside her, eye to eye, and said, "You saved me." She said nothing. So he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small necklace, gold, with a single engraved word, "Seen." He placed it around her neck. "You're coming with me now, if you want to." Mira blinked, unsure. He extended his hand, and slowly she took it. Months passed. Mira moved into the guest wing of the Wexford estate, but Jonathan quickly realized it wasn't just a room she needed. It was a home, so he gave her one, a warm bed, her own clothes, tutors, doctors, a birthday party with candles and cake. But more than all of that, he listened to her. She loved stars. She could name every planet. She drew suns with smiling faces. She hated shoes. She loved lemons. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. 1 year later, The papers were signed, Mira Wexford, officially adopted, and at the celebration in the garden, when guests toasted the miracle of the girl who saved a man from losing everything, Jonathan raised his glass and said, "The world saw her as small, but she saw what no one else could. She gave me truth, and I will spend the rest of my life giving her back everything she was owed." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.